So,
Please start.
good morning, everybody. We will be waiting for a few minutes to allow more participants to join. And in the meantime, also we are going to wait for a representative of Pickle Jar to introduce the session, and including myself. Thank you.
Yeah, they can see the studio. All right. Uh, you see, I'm going to do a check whether I am audible clearly, and I of course, I'm joining from a remote studio. But I am sure at this moment, a lot of people have signed up to be part of a very special session because the concept is like that, GALS, the Gender Assisted Learning Session. But it gives me great pleasure. Before that, let me also introduce myself. My name is Vasanthi Hariprakash. Coming to you from India, I'm a journalist from the radio television universe and the founder of Pickle Jar, which is partnering Oxfam in this fabulous program of EYW Today Tomorrow. So, the person who's going to be heading and leading this breakout session on this day, one of ours, is Amra Skaduti. Now, even in the interactions that I've had with Amra in let's say, a backstage in the past few weeks, it's been great to know this lady, project specialist, gender and social inclusion by Oxfam Novib, comes with a very, very great and rich experience, particularly the one which I was reading about, Amra, is the part where you were the project officer, and that is something which a lot of people also have spoken about on the the kind of experience, what it meant to work with you, given the kind of experience that you bring to the table. And in fact, someone said that I have known and worked with Amra from the time that she was working at AWEPA, the Association of European Parliamentarians with Africa, someone who's a genuine hard worker and a great collaborator on these gender projects. I'm going to hand this to you, Amra. I know we have other speakers, and it's great. It gives us great delight to be able to do that. And with it, it's over to you to take forward this GAL session.
Thank you so much, Vasanthi, for this kind introduction. So, as mentioned by Vasanthi, this session will be facilitated by myself, but also by other colleagues who are also here online with us. And those are Intan Dharmawati, and I would like to ask her to introduce herself. Intan, the floor is yours.
Hi, I'm Intan Dharmawati. I'm from Indonesia. I'm a freelance consultant and a gender mainstreaming consultant, especially I'm expert on the GALS and FALS methodology. Thank you.
Thank you, Intan. We also have Ihsan Ali from Pakistan. Ihsan, please, could you please introduce yourself? Perhaps, Ihsan, you could try to stop your video because we cannot hear very well what you are saying. Okay, we cannot hear you, Ihsan, so I am afraid that Ihsan is having some connection issue today. So I will introduce him to the wider audience. So Ihsan Ali works at Oxfam in Pakistan, and he has been leading GAL's trajectory under the Empower Youth for Work project in Pakistan. We also have Sara Kema, and I would like to invite her to introduce herself.
Yes, thank you, Amra. My name is Sara. I'm a recent graduate in psychology and population studies. And currently I am a junior consultant for Oxfam Novib, and I helped organizing this whole event. So I'm really happy that you're all here, and I hope that you enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sara. So after this round of introduction, I would like to introduce the program of this session so that you already know what we are going to look at during the session. So we will start with a visioning exercise so that you can try and experience yourself this methodology, the GALS methodology, Gender Action Learning System. And this, I think, is the best way to understand and grasp the methodology itself, so through your personal experience. After that, we are going to dive into a short introduction of the GALS methodology, and particularly the way it has been used in the Empower Youth for Work projects in Indonesia and in Pakistan. We will then dive into the main results and conclusions from the GALS sense-making report, which is based on 43 stories collected. And we will then hear lessons learned and recommendation from the implementation in Indonesia and in Pakistan. And throughout the session, you will also see some sharing of testimonies in the form of blogs realized by some of our respondents, so some of our community members. And you will also have time for questions and answers. So thank you very much for joining. It's really a pleasure and an honor for me to be able to facilitate this GALS session. I would like to ask you to grasp a pen and a paper and draw a circle in it. And then start to dream. It's time to dream. So please take a deep breath, close your eyes, and think about your future. Imagine your future. What is that you would like to achieve? What is your dream in life? Normally, a dream is something big, but also something achievable. It can be a long term or short term. It is up to you to decide the length of your vision. And so please draw within their circle your dream for the future. Do not write, please draw. You will understand why I'm asking you this. And then I will ask some volunteers to share the vision in plenary. So I will give you 5 minutes to draw the vision and then ask for a few volunteers to share the vision in plenary. So by raising your hand. Thank you. We still have a few more minutes to go, 3 more minutes to go. We have the last minute to go, and then I will ask for a few volunteers to share the vision. Okay, so thank you. Is there any volunteer that would like to share his personal vision in a plenary with thanks in advance? Please raise your hand. Please raise your hand if you would like to share your vision in plenary. Any brave volunteer? I don't see any hands raised. Last chance to share your vision in plenary so you can inspire also others for the future. We can all learn from you and get inspired by your vision. Please raise your hand. Okay, I don't see any hands raised. I hope people know how to, participants know how to raise their hand. Maybe that's something that could be quickly explained also. Is there anyone from Pickle Jar who can explain how they can raise their hand? I see an hand raised here. Tahira Mehdi. Thank you so much. Would you like to share your vision with the wider audience?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you so much.
Can you hear me? I'm not sure if you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Just give me, thumbs up if you can hear me because I can't hear you now. Okay, good. Okay, so I'm Tahira. I'm from Oxfam, Australia. So for myself, I like traveling, and I like to work with diversified communities across the world, across the globe, learn about the cultures and use my skills and knowledge to support those communities in need. So envisioning myself or my future is seeing myself working, yes, in different countries around the world, getting exposure for learning and to share my learning and knowledge and skill. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tahira. How long is your vision? I think we have already lost Tahira. Excuse me. Is there any other volunteer that would like to share some vision? And maybe Sarah, who would like to volunteer? You would like to be an appointed volunteer?
Yes, I would. I would already excuse myself for my drawing. I made multiple because I'm not so good at drawing. But mine is a bit the same as Tahira's, so you can see my vision here. And
Yes.
it's basically a horizon with a lot of question marks, because I kind of feel that's how my life vision is in general, that I don't really know what's going to be in the future, but I kind of embrace it. And like Tahira also mentioned, I would actually like to travel soon. So hopefully in a few months I can travel, and I would love to go to South America and meet a lot of new people and have a lot of new experiences, and gain a lot of self-development in that sense, in a way of life development, I would say. So I hope to do that soon. So my vision journey hopes to start soon, and I think it will hopefully last for around a year. And then I will have a new question mark upon the horizon, I would say.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for sharing. How long is your vision?
How do you mean? How long? Like
How many
for a
in how many years do you foresee to reach your vision?
I hope within a year. I'm
Okay.
motivated to start soon.
Thank you so much for sharing, Sarah, and for inspiring us. Thank you. So after this short, unfortunately, because time is limited, it could be only a short experience with the methodology. We can then move to the next part of the program, where you will hear an introduction of GALS, the GALS methodology, and how this has been used in the Empower Youth for Work projects in Indonesia and Pakistan. I will now start sharing my screen. Sarah, can you let me know if you can see it?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay,
And you
perfect.
can click on the hide button next to
Yes.
it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So this is indeed a short overview of GALS and the way it has been used in Empower Youth for Work projects in Indonesia and Pakistan. GALS is a gender transformative methodology. There are different kind of gender approaches. They can go from completely gender blind to gender transformative. A gender transformative approach, in short, is an approach that brings changes in attitude, behavior, in access to resources, social norms, and policies. And to be honest, GALS is not only about gender, but is more broadly about social inclusion. The GALS methodology is a participatory methodology that can be used for socio-economic and political transformation. And it normally strengthens self-esteem and agency of people, of community members, but also other staff members who use that. It normally strengthens their negotiation skills so that they are able to negotiate with in a meaningful way with others, those being their families, their friends, peers, or the wider communities, or more powerful actors belonging to the socio-economical field. So what can this methodology be used for? It can be used for individual and collective life and livelihood planning. It can be used for collective action and gender advocacy for change. and it can be used to change power relations. There are four main elements that characterize this methodology. The first element is visual diagramming tools. You have already started to draw the vision. That's the first step of one of the GALS tools, which is called the Visual Road Journey. So you have already noticed that in this methodology, we normally draw. There are also principles underpinning the use of this methodology, and those principles are linked to gender participation and leadership. And it is important to apply these principles when using the methodology, because otherwise you run the risk to increase instead of decreasing inequality. There is also peer learning structure, which means that community members are the real trainers in this methodology, and they share the methodology with others that are relevant for them in order for them to achieve their own vision. And normally this methodology is integrated in economic interventions and in the ways organizations work. So we will now see a few examples of tools. We said before that there are pictorial tools that are used in these pictorial diagrams, which are used in this methodology. And those are either road journeys, trees, diamonds, and circle maps. This is an example of a road journey. There are different kinds of road journeys in the methodology, and this tool is normally used to plan. This is an example of a diamond. Diamonds in this methodology are used to analyze issues, and particularly gender issues. There are trees. This is an example of tree, and trees are normally used to dive deeper into the analysis. It's like a problem tree. And this is an example of a circle map, which is used by participants of GALS trajectories to identify those in their surroundings that they want and wish to liaise with, and therefore share the methodology and involve them in the process, because for them it is important to involve them in the peer learning replication, so that they create a kind of enabling environment that supports them in achieving their ambitions and dreams. We briefly touched upon the principles before. We will now dive a little bit deeper into the main principles of this methodology. The first principle is gender justice is non-negotiable. And this means that women's rights are non-negotiable, as established in the CEDAW Convention, which is the UN Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discriminations Against Women. The second principle is include everyone. This is a participatory methodology, we said, and therefore community members have to be included in the process since the beginning. And they are the one establishing their changing priorities. So they are the one that establish what they want to change in their life, and establishing their own priorities. So it's important to involve them since the beginning in the process. The third principle is everyone can be a leader. This means that regardless of age, education, gender, economic or social status, everyone can be a leader and can lead a change process. And this is why we have community members at the lead in this GALS methodology and GALS process. The fourth principle is make it fun, excited and enthusiastic for change. It is very important to create the right atmosphere when you touch upon sensitive issues, such as, for example, gender-based violence. Therefore, in this methodology, we make use of songs, of theaters, or role plays to make the process fun and make it lighter while we touch upon sensitive topics. Linked to this principle, another principle is start with visions and the positive. This is a principle that we apply, for example, when we facilitate the tools. For example, when you use a visual road journey, you normally look at the opportunities before looking at the challenges. And this is because we want to focus more on the bright side instead of what is not working. This allows to create the necessary positive energy for change. Another principle is drawing is believing. We have already touched upon this, and we have seen that indeed participants in these GALS trajectories draw, so they create those pictorial tools. So why do we use drawings? This is for two main reasons. The first reason is to eliminate sociocultural differences. So people who don't know how to read and write can communicate with others, and they are all equal, and there is no difference, and each other, and they can understand, and they can all understand each other. And the second reason to use drawings is that you use the most creative part of your brain, and therefore it helps to find creative solutions to problems. The last principle is action from day one and pyramid upscaling. In this methodology, you will see participants changing already during the training or workshop. And they're also invited to take immediate action after the training or the workshop itself, and to share the methodology with their friends or their families. So with those that they think it's important to share the methodology with. Also, it is important to focus on what can be replicated by community members without external facilitation, because we said this methodology is based on a peer sharing process. So that's why it's important to focus on these elements. We will now see how this methodology has been used in Indonesia and Pakistan. GALS has been used to strengthen the agency of youth, and particularly young women, not only, but they needed particular support from that point of view because of socio-cultural reasons. So it has helped with defining aspirations, influencing decisions in the households, and also to increase rights awareness, self-esteem, strengthen group working and leadership skills. It has been used to change gender and power relations so that youth can access and benefit from employment opportunities. It has been used to make violence against women and girls, gender discrimination, and economic, social, and political exclusion of women unacceptable in different cultural circumstances, both at the individual and collective levels. And it has been used to mobilize youth and their families and communities to take action and change deep-rooted social norms and behaviors. Thank you. I will now stop sharing my screen. I hope this, Sarah, did I manage to stop sharing the screen?
Yes, it's looking good now.
Oh,
yeah, so now is the moment for questions. Does anyone have a question for Ambra or wants to hear something more about a specific part? You can raise your hand or put a comment in the chat.
Is there any question that you would like to ask?
Yeah, we have one question from Tahira, and she's asking, could you explain a little bit about the gender diamond and the balance tree?
So thank you for this question, Tahira. So we do have different kinds of diamonds in this methodology, and the gender justice diamond is used to analyze and find out gender indicators. So what are the gender issues identified by the community members themselves? Particularly, we normally ask them to indicate what they like and what they don't like about being a man or a woman. You also have a distinction between what they like the most and what they dislike the most, so they can also prioritize change. So this diamond helps community members to realize and identify those issues that they face in their daily life by themselves. And it also helps a project staff member to get indicators, because those items can be used to measure change, since those are identified by community members themselves. So they will focus on those items in their changing process. And so it is useful also for the organization to have how can I say, complement the indicators that they had already included in their log frame, by adding these specific indicators identified by community members. So this is the gender justice diamonds. You were also asking about the gender balance tree. The gender balance tree is one of the trees used in this methodology, and is normally used to see to check at household level who has been who is performing certain tasks for himself, for the household, and who he's using the money how. So they check their expenses, and they also check their the tasks that they do for their own on their own, or for the household. So in this way, both women and men can see if the tree is in balance or it is not. And normally in this tree, you also indicate who has the decision-making power within the household. So it is easy for community members to visualize the inequality that normally we find in in most situations. So who is doing what, and who is using the money for what? So it's an easy way to visualize inequality instead of explaining what inequality is. People experience this themselves and then can visualize it through this tool. I hope the explanation was clear.
Yes, thank you, Amra. I see we have a few more questions. The next question is from Louise, and he asks, how do you start in a community?
Normally, we have an adaptation, the so-called adaptation workshop. So we normally have an introductory workshop on girls, where both community members and staff members who are going to support the process are going to be invited. In this first workshop, some tools are introduced and tested. So you can also, because the methodology is quite flexible, and you need to make some adaptation depending on the context and depending on the topic of the project, and depending on the target group. It's different when you have young people or you have adults. So you can also choose different tools. So the adaptation workshop is normally used to test some of the tools and adjust the methodology to the context. And after that, then community members start replicating the first training themselves with those that they think are important for them to achieve their vision. I think we still have 1 minute for a question.
We have one more. Yeah, we have one more question we can ask now, and I will save the other questions maybe for later as well. We have one more question from Hang Lai, and it's a very nice question, I think. It's asked if these visual tools can they also be used by bad drawers. So do you have templates that they can insert their info, or do they develop the drawings themselves? And could you give an example about visual tools for living or for livelihood planning?
Thank you so much for this question. This is a very important question because there is no bad drawer. It is GALS is not about a drawing competition, so any drawing is fine. So it is important to encourage community members not to focus on how beautiful their drawing is, because the most important thing is that the drawing is meaningful to themselves, and also other people can understand the drawing and what they are trying to communicate. In some cases, at the beginning, you will find some resistance with drawing. So you will need to encourage them from this point of view, because indeed people are scared that their drawing skills are not good enough. Or it might even be that for some of them it's the first time they're drawing in their life, depending on the context where you use the methodology. So some support in terms of supporting their self-esteem from that point of view, and sometimes you can also give some example, but normally the best way is that they share and learn with they share with and learn from other community members, so they can also see the drawing of our other community members and get inspired. And normally they help each other through this process. So that's the way it works with drawing. And then there was, I think, was another. No, we don't. We don't have templates. We just have this. We do have these tools. We guide them through the drawing of these tools. So we don't draw ourselves. We just call some community members, and particularly those whose self-esteem and agency needs to be strengthened. And you will realize that because they are the less talkative, the one who don't want to be on the stage, so they tend to hide or not to talk too much. And you will invite particularly those community members to help you with drawings. And you will ask them to draw, for example, the circle on the top right of the flip chart, to support with drawing the tools. So that's the only thing we have. We do have, we can call them templates for the tools. So we do have a shape for the tool, but the content comes from community members. And we have seen an example. I'm asked for an example of a visual tool for livelihood planning. We have seen the Vision Road Journey in the presentation, which is indeed a tool that is used for life and livelihood planning. And normally you start from the vision, you check the current situation, opportunities and challenges, and you identify your yearly objective and the milestones, and you identify the activities. So in short, this is what you have seen before. The Vision Road Journey, which was shown in the presentation, is an example of a tool used for life and livelihood planning. So thank you so much. I think we have to thank you. And thanks also to Tahira and to Luis. I think it is time for us to move to the next part of the session. And therefore, I would like to ask Pickle Jar for support with sharing the vlog of Marlena. I will shortly introduce the vlog. So the vlog is about...
Perkenalkan, nama saya Marlena.
Thank you. So this vlog shows, in this vlog, Marlena talks about how girls open their mind and help their envision their future and go beyond what is generally proposed by the wider society to women. So thank you very much. And Pickle Jar, please, if you can share the video now, would be great. Thank you.
Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Perkenalkan, nama saya Marlina. Saya berasal dari Kabupaten Maros, Sulawesi Selatan. Pekerjaan saya yaitu sebagai seorang guru. Sebagai anak muda, tantangan yang kami hadapi yaitu tentang kesetaraan gender, di mana pemuda laki-laki diharuskan untuk bekerja di luar, sedangkan kami, anak perempuan, diharuskan untuk tetap tinggal di rumah dan mengerjakan pekerjaan rumah. Namun berkat hadirnya program EW, melalui Oxfam di daerah kami menjadi peluang bagi kami, khususnya anak muda perempuan, untuk meningkatkan kualitas kami menjadi pemuda berdaya dan berkarya. Salah satu program yang saya ikuti yaitu Workshop Girls, di mana membuka pola pikir dan target masa depan yang kita ekspresikan atau tuangkan dalam sebuah gambar. Saat ini saya bergabung dalam kelompok Youth Hub Laskar Jaya Bahari, di mana menjadi wadah bagi saya dan kawan-kawan untuk membuat perencanaan dan aksi bersama. Ini adalah salah satu contoh perencanaan kami yang menggunakan metode GALS. Semoga ke depan pemuda dan pemudi dapat saling bersinergi untuk mengembangkan potensi yang ada di desa. Sekian dari saya. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much for this. So you have seen also in this video an example of planning to the Vision Road journey. Tools in GALS can be used at individual, household, and collective levels. So that you know, this Vision Road journey can also be used for collective planning. We will now move to the next part of the session, which is about the main results from the GALS sense-making report. I will now share my screen and guide you through this presentation. And Sarah, can you please confirm that you can see this? Okay, great. Thank you so much. Thank you. So in this presentation, we will get through the main results and conclusion from the GALS sense-making report. The report is based on the analysis of 43 stories coming from 28 young women and 15 young men. Where names are indicated, both in the report and in this presentation, those are not real names because we try to protect the respondent's identity. The analysis was based on three main criteria: changes that young people have perceived in themselves, economic empowerment, so the way this methodology has contributed in increasing their participation to economic activities. And the last criterion is the creation of an enabling environment. In GALS, we can have change at individual, household, and collective levels, as we already mentioned. So the first criterion is related to the individual level, whereas the third criterion touches upon both the household and community level. The second criterion is based on livelihood improvement through the integration of GALS into economic interventions. In terms of results, the main results identified at individual levels, therefore the changes that young people have identified within themselves are the ability to formulate a vision, to define goals, identify opportunities and problems, and see some of these problems as opportunities. But also the ability to create a roadmap, therefore a plan to achieve their goal, and also their ability to stay committed to achieving these goals. They've also reported on increased ability to identify areas for self-improvement, better time management, and increased problem-solving and skills and confidence. We have also an example of the way GALS helped some of our respondents with improving their planning. One of our respondents says, from Indonesia says, the thing that made my efforts fail before was that I didn't have detailed planning. And this was what I got when I joined the GALS training. I then applied the GALS method by making plans before doing anything. Since getting to know GALS, I have become more sensitive to the surrounding environment by seeing opportunities and potential in my village. We have also focused on the specific results for women. Most of the results which are included in this slide are applicable also to men, but we have noticed those were particularly mentioned by women. So the specific results are improved confidence, negotiation and leadership skills, and also enhanced knowledge of their rights and entitlements, which help them to understand and face obstacles posed by traditional gender norms and beliefs. You will see on the right an example of a gender justice diamond. As we said, this helps with identifying, analyze gender issues. This is an example of increased awareness or understanding of their rights and entitlements by women. One of the respondents from Pakistan says, "Through the girls' training, I have learned about gender equality. Before this training, I consider myself inferior as a woman because that's what we were always taught throughout our lives, that men are superior to women and women should stay at home and be obedient to their husbands, fathers, or brothers. But after receiving this training, I understood my importance as a woman. I've learned that men and women are equal. No one is inferior or superior, and everyone should have the same respect and opportunities." We also have an example of how the methodology strengthened leadership skills of women. After completing different trainings, Seher, which is an invented name, became a role model for other girls in her village. She took the lead in different activities, including arranging the first ever women's event in her village completely independently. She championed the girls' training and trained her youth group members with great enthusiasm. In terms of results with regards to economic empowerment, what we have noticed in young people is an enhanced confidence to pursue the economic activity of their choice. And also we have noticed that the methodology helped them to create the right attitude to achieve goals. So while other interventions focused on the technical skills for employability purposes, we can say that this methodology supported young people and their economic empowerment by helping them to identify their preferred economic activities, and therefore also finding the inner motivation to achieve their goals. As an example, a young woman in Pakistan expressed her ambition to begin livestock farming in order to support her husband financially. Although the Empower Youth for Work project gave her initial support to begin poultry farming, she used this as an opportunity to earn enough money to buy a goat and fulfill her original dream. We have also noticed some difference between men and women in terms of results. So young men had a clear head start, whereas for young women, the process started with recognizing and believing that they had the same right as men to participate in economic activities. That was followed by engaging with their families and community on whether and how they can participate in their chosen economic activity. This is an example. A young woman in Pakistan was discouraged by her family from working or contributing to the household income, despite the family's difficult economic circumstances. His reluctance was mostly due to community members repeatedly questioning the need for girls' education and enforcing restrictions on women and girls' mobility. The household's financial constraints and the young woman's inability to move freely outside the home made her dependent on others. She lacked the confidence and skills to engage with the people who upheld these restrictive traditional gender norms and beliefs. However, as she started participating in Empower Youth for Work activities, the young woman began to engage and negotiate with her parents, family members, and the community. Using the skills gained from the Empower Youth for Work tools and trainings, she convinced her father not only to let her continue to participate in these activities, but also to teach at a local school. So through this last example, we have already briefly started to touch upon the enabling environment, because we have seen how young people, and particularly in the example before, a young woman started to share the methodology with her families in the effort of convincing them to let her pursue the economic activity of her choice. The main results in the enabling environments that we have noticed are increased awareness of women's rights at household and community level. We had already seen this at individual level, but that also applies and was found at household and community level. And also improved access to education, economic opportunities, and mobility for young women. As an example, some young women in Pakistan said that they would like to ensure that their daughters have the same access as their sons to education and other opportunities. We have also noticed other results in the enabling environment, which are engagement by young people with families and communities on child marriage, harassment of women, environmental protection, and other social issues, as well as increased collective economic initiatives. As an example of both a collective economic initiative and environmental protection, two young women in Indonesia started their ventures with friends and family members. One of the ventures is a women-only farmer group, which seeks to encourage natural farming and to transform non-biodegradable waste into useful items. We also have, this is a very interesting and inspiring case study of a case of women harassment in Pakistan. During the Power Youth for Work project intervention, a case came to light of a girl facing harassment following the arrangement of her marriage. A young man claimed that she was his fiancée and said that he wouldn't let the marriage go ahead. He started to threaten the girl and her family with a social boycott and tribal conflict. During the girls' training, a young man named Sajad came across a tool called the Empowerment Leadership Map, which you can see on the right, in which he learned how to identify local people with power in the community, whom young people can approach if they need any kind of support. Sajad, along with a friend, identified well-known people and community leaders and convinced them to help the girl and her family. They immediately organized a meeting and invited both parties. The young man was asked for evidence of the engagement, which he failed to provide. He eventually apologized for his behavior. The community appreciated the efforts of Sajad and his friend, and they have since been asked to help address other matters in the community. The young man resolved a situation which could have led to a tribal conflict, even a so-called honor killing. Sajad said, "I was taught in the training that we should take a stand without creating any risk for ourselves. Thus, I introduced my elders to intervene. I involved, my elders to intervene first in such a sensitive issue. If I had acted alone, I would have faced a lot of resistance and criticism. I used the learning from the training and executed it. So I can say that just due to these trainings, not only me, but my whole community has been changing. The traditional concept that women should stay at home and should not go outside has become obsolete." In conclusion, we can see that girls has supported the economic empowerment of young people by building their mental strength and stamina. It has created a better understanding of gender and other social norms and of the impact that this gender-based discrimination norms or attitudes or behaviors have on economic productivity. It has also helped youth and particularly women to pursue their goals and their aspirations with purpose, confidence, and resilience. Thank you. I will now stop sharing my screen. And hopefully I have succeeded.
Yes,
fantastic.
It's a very small note that we are a little bit tight on time, so maybe we can quickly move to the next section.
Yes, let's move now to the lessons learned and recommendation from Indonesia. And if there is time to share the vlogs, we will share them at the end of the session. Otherwise, we can share them as a follow-up of the event. So, Intan, would you like to present the lessons learned and recommendation from Indonesia?
Okay, thank you, Ambra.
Thank you.
Okay, dear all, this is some of the lesson learned from the implementation of Empower Youth for Work in Indonesia using the GALS methodology. The first is that a lot of gender issues that is very sensitive, or usually people think that this is a difficult topic to discuss in that areas. Now we can address and we can discuss that one with a lighter way, with a fun way, with this methodology, such as early marriage or child marriage, unemployment, gender discrimination, women limitation on the mobilization, and also there is a violence or molestation against women. So all of this issue can be addressed funly, and people can talk, and it changes a lot of people thinking. From the day one, you can see the change within themselves, because like the methodology of the girls is already included all of the aspect that is for example the leadership, on the process of the girls. The methodology itself is not only the tools that we use, but also the process, how they learn to speak, how they learn to have their confidence, so they can say within from their with motivation within, they can say that yes, we can. And now they can also have formulate their vision. For example, the girls, when it started to have the visioning, like what we do, what we did just now, uh, and then there is a question about the visioning of the women. At the first time, these women, because they used to be get early married, uh, at the first time, their visioning is to get married. But there's a discussion among themselves, and then they think that, okay, we can and we have the right to have another vision, not only push to be married as soon as possible. And another lesson learned is that because we combine the youth from the marginalized people, the indigenous peoples, from the different areas that is very rural and then poor areas, they come together, so it's they can learn together, and it's open their eyes and have a lot of experience, and it's motivate them, uh, and they have like a sense of spirits among each other. And this is the peer learning session, is going through how they can learn from their peer. Another lesson learned is that when you works with youth, that there is a lot of problem in internally. Sometimes there is a internal conflict in the youth hub, and then there is a domination, and then there is a lot of distraction among youth. They have a lot of interesting, and then their mood is sometimes swing. And in that areas where the areas is very poor, and the adult is want the child to get married, or for the boys, they push to work as early as they can. So they go to work very hard, and then the girl to go to married. So one of the recommendation is we can involve the elders from the earlier, so they can see, they can support the changes of this youth, and they can see the changes at the youth and make it continue. And then it's important to have the girls module for the youth. In the pandemic area, we cannot do this offline, so we do that online, but it's not very effective in our experience. For youth, it's better that we have a short meeting, maybe one day or half day, but it's like once a week. Okay, another recommendation, I will show you the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Intan, for sharing this. Is Isan still with us? I don't see him. Sarah, do you see him?
No, I don't see him, but I'm also not sure if Isan is still a speaker. Someone from Pickle Jar, can you see if Isan is in the session and if he can be put as a speaker on stage? I see one raised hand from Isan.
I don't see him on stage.
Could you see, he has his hand raised. Oh, I see him on stage now. Hi, Isan, can you unmute
Okay.
yourself?
Fine, yeah.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Isan.
Isan, are you ready to share lessons learned and recommendations from Pakistan?
Oh,
Can you hear us, Isan? I see he's an attendee. He's not a speaker anymore.
Yeah, but he can still put his mic on, I think. But I think it might be internet connection. Isan, can you hear us? I think
Okay,
if not, we should move to the
to the video.
that-
Yes, I think it's a good idea because time is running, and so we can. If a pickle jar can help us with sharing the video of Isan, that would be great.
yes, we will share.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Finally, I work with Oxfam in Pakistan. We have carried out girls sessions and girls activities under EYW project here in Pakistan, and we will be speaking about challenges, opportunities, recommendations, lessons learned, and proud moments today. One first challenge was girls is a new methodology, so it was difficult to introduce it with its core essence. It was challenging to carry on with such a mixed group where people from different backgrounds were present there. It was challenging to manage discussions which were contradictory among participants. With reference to opportunities, more than 60% of the population is youth, so we can capitalize on this. A big chunk of young female are doing their home-based businesses. We can support them also. Girls can provide them a platform to plan their life and plan their business. We have well-developed collaborations and MOUs with the different government, semi-government and non-government organizations. So we can continue with under these MOUs and with these organizations. With reference to recommendations, girls should be implemented as a complete project. Girls should be made an integral part of all Oxfam projects, especially those which focus women. Girls should be carried out with college and university students. Female advocates, lawyers and psychologists should be taken on board as female participants ask some kind of questions which require a good understanding of laws and constitution. Basic and advanced girls tools should be run where they are needed the most. With reference to lessons learned, elderly women and men create hurdles for young women. It is observed, and they do not allow their younger women to progress more. So they should be sensitized. During COVID-19, a less number of GBV cases were reported in the areas where girls was run. Its fun part helped in calming down the heated discussions. Social and economic value of women has increased. Male recognize their contributions and respect them more, and it is the result of gender balance free exercise. Some few other lessons are it has helped in addressing negative gender norms, like girls were bound to be medical doctor, nurse, or do any government job where no creativity or progress had any space. So now the girls are opting arts and they are doing theatre also. It has helped in addressing structural limitations. Girls has helped in increasing impactful awareness about women empowerment, economic opportunities for women, gender-based violence, and women rights. Regarding proud movements, yes, we as Oxfam are pioneer of girls in Pakistan. Our girls champions have helped many men and women who do the business in the rural settings and getting them connected with the urban markets and and helping them in hiring a display center in the urban market or at departmental stores. We have observed that women speak about their political rights. They are saying that we will speak to the people who do the political campaigning in our area, and we will ask them about the women agenda. Another proud moment is helping college and university students. So girls has helped them, and through girls they have been able to identify their research themes and their thesis work. So girls has provided them a platform. Inclusive markets are emerging at the rural level and at the village level, like green fodder, dry fodder, dairy products, embroidery. Gender norms are broken. The women are now going for more skills, and they are opting new work, and they are going in new academic professions also. Girls sessions and study circles are carried out at rural hub. It has also created an impact because girls from rural areas are progressing, and overall girls has created an environment where women can progress and develop. And thank you so much.
So thank you very much to Picklejar for sharing this video, and obviously thank you very much also to Ethan for preparing the video. It's a pity that he could not present live, but at least we have his video. So we now have some minutes, a few minutes, 5 minutes for question and answers. So should you have questions? Is Sarah, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
So I'll leave it up to you to arrange this part. Thank you.
I saw there was one question from Barsha, and she asked, do you see any difference in visions among youth as we move geographically? So, for example, visions from the global south and the global north. Maybe this is a nice question for Intan, because I already saw that you replied to this. Intan, could you maybe elaborate on this question?
Thank you, Sarah, and thank you, Barsa, for the question. So, in my experience, I don't know it's the south and north, yeah, but in my experience in several countries in Asia, Southeast Asia, and in the rural and urban areas, there is some part, some aspect of the vision is different. For example, in the rural area, in the poor area, that is the girls usually push to have a early marriage, and then they know that this is one of the exit strategy to change their life. So when the first time you ask them to draw the vision, the the automatically aspect they draw is they want to get married with a good husband that can support them, and they have a good life compare with their own life right now. So that's mostly appear in the vision of the some of the girls in the rural area or in the poor area. But for example, in the urban area, in the area that is women, is usually the girls have a lot of convenience in their life. They have a lot of access and technology and facilities. Their visions usually is more on their improvement on their self. That's what some of the aspect I saw, the different aspect. Maybe Ambra can add some more in your experience, Ambra or Iksan?
If there is no other question, I can elaborate this question further. But I think if there is another question, I think it was quite comprehensive, your reply, Intan. So I think we could move also to the next one, unless the participant think otherwise.
I don't see any other question. If someone still has a question or a remark, you can also raise your hand or put it in the chat. But otherwise, I think we can move to you, Ambra, if you would like to elaborate a bit more.
Okay, yes. So, I mean, there are several differences linked to the context, and also there are differences depending on the target group. So, if you work with adults or you work with young people, you can see different differences in the way the process is shaped, and also on the way on the, let's say, challenges and opportunities that you find during the process. I mean, among the context is shaping very much the wishes of participants during a training or a workshop, and therefore also what they are going to include in their journey. So depending, it is not only about North or South, it depends on the social norms also that are applicable to that context. So normally, I mean, what I have experienced is, I found, for example, personally, the context of Indonesia completely different than for young people than the context, let's say, in Uganda. First of all, young people in Indonesia, they have access to internet, which seems to be, I mean, it makes a big difference because there was possible to create WhatsApp groups for young people. So it was easier for them to share, even though they were placed in different communities. But that was not possible, for example, in Uganda. Because they don't have access to internet in the communities, so they need to be transported to other communities, and that's already it creates quite of a difference in terms of inspiration you can get from others and information, because they support each other through this process. And it is necessary that there is a network, and they create this network to support each other in this changing process, because otherwise they will be drawn back to the old behavior quite easily. I will stop talking because I see we are almost, sorry, out of time. So better, I stop talking. And maybe we can close the session.
I see Ihsan has raised his hand. Is that true? Ihsan, did you want to say something?
I think it might have been an old hand raised. So I will move to the closure of the session. We have 1 minute left. So I would like to thank you all for participating in this session, for your interest. And I would like to thank, obviously, the co-facilitators of this session, Sarah, Intan, and Isan, for all your help and support and for making this session possible. So thank you so much. If you would like to learn more about GALS, you can check the Empowered Scale website. I will include the link in the chat. This is a website which is where you can find all kind of information on GALS, and it tries to bring GALS up to scale. So you will find also manuals there and case studies. So a lot of relevant information can be found there, and please join the platform. This is the link in the chat to the Empowered Scale platform. You can also visit the women page of the Oxfam Novib website. I will include the link also in the chat. Also there you can find general information about GALS, the history of GALS, manuals on GALS. And for specific information about GALS in Empower Youth for Work, I will share the link to the Empower Youth for Work website where more information can be found. So thank you so much. And should you have questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you all. I'll leave it up to the other facilitators if we want to greet and say something else.
No, thank you. I just very happy that there is a girls champion here from Pakistan, from Indonesia, and also Feroz, that maybe we can continue the exchanges after this. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed. I also wanted to share that it's really nice to see that the questions that were raised were also answered by the young people that participated in GAL. So I think that shows something really nice. And I hope everyone enjoyed the session. And indeed, let's continue this conversation and reach out to one of the speakers if you would like to learn more.
Thank you, Sarah.